544B. So we're speaking Neo-Swedenborgianistically here. And if you don't know what that is, well, that is what we're doing. And I have this other thing I say sometimes, which is ABC, the history of religion, as easy as ABC. A, amen, amen. B, that would be what was called the modern era, just to connect it. So the modern era which is like, let's say 1700, 1500. People said amen. And then there's the postmodern era. Let's just represent the postmodern era as Pendulette. Represents the postmodern era quite well, really. And so he says BS, right? So we have amen, BS, and I'm saying it's as easy as ABC. Well, now we're in what I'm calling the re-modern era. So there's pre-modernism, there's modernism, and then there is re-modernism, which is the era we are now entering. In 2020, we are entering re-modernism, and it is not due to me. I am not taking credit for it. It is due more to the advances in medicine, which are enabling people, which the advances in medicine which are bringing people back from the brink of death. Okay, I am not saying the people who had the NDEs are dead or ever died. They came to the brink of death. But what this is doing is creating a kind of a magnifying glass of the last 5 seconds of life. Let's just say this. We are looking at the last 5 seconds of life. What might happen to you in the last 5 seconds of your life? You're shot through the heart. Bang! 5, 4, 3, you're falling. 2, 1, bang! You're dead on the floor, okay? In that 5 seconds. So what these NDEs are doing is they're acting like a magnifying glass into these last 5 seconds of life. Or let's just say 4 seconds. It doesn't matter, right? Because when if in that amount of time you experience the infinite, it then becomes timeless. So you exit, within that last 4 seconds, you exit time. And you enter an infinity experience, which I am not going to try to explain. But anyway, so amen, that's the modern era. BS, that's the postmodern era. C, ABC, this whole thing is easy as ABC. C, the re-modern era, and the C, by C we mean SEE, the word observe. And so what I'm doing is observing this. I'm just pointing out that I'm not creating any of this. So the reason I'm not pretending to be the one creating the re-modern era is because what I'm really saying is that if you look at the near-death experience data, okay, you look at the data, this conclusion is somewhat obvious, is what I'm saying. And so I guess that's really where the contention is a person would say, well, that's not data. Because if you do look at the data, this conclusion is not hard to support. So the person would say, well, that's not data. And I'm just going to finish up here, and I'll explain how it is data, okay? Everybody knows what a spreadsheet is these days. I don't even want to say these companies. You know, I hesitated to say in the previous one, the stockbroker, and I'm not going to say who makes a spreadsheet, because they didn't invent spreadsheets. Spreadsheet is just something you do on paper, okay? So you take a piece of paper and you put a spreadsheet on it. So you have a spreadsheet, right? And every near-death experience that somebody recounts is on the spreadsheet. So there's a list, and it starts with whoever, PM Atwater, or whatever, right? Every Howard Storm, Renee, what's that? Renee, all the way down, right? And that's how many rows you have. And then you take everything they said. Let's say they wrote a book, and the book is 80,000 words. It's a 150-page book. It's 80,000 words, right? So you have 80,000 columns. So let's say you have 100,000 columns. You have as many rows as you have people talking about the near-death experience, and you have as many columns as there are words in the book. So let's say you have a chart, which is basically how many near-death accounts are there. Let's say there's 100,000 of them. So you have 100,000 down, and then you have most of the accounts are within 100,000 words, because that would be a 200-page book, and there you go, right? So you have 100,000 down and 100,000 over. That's your table, and you just put all the words they say. And then you can search that. So you search for Jesus, right? Or you search for Buddha, and you get a percentage, you get a number then. So that is data, and from this data you can draw a number or a percentage. So, for example, Dr. Eben Alexander's NDE is really curious because I have a dead sister, and Dr. Eben Alexander sees his dead sister, and they meet on the wing of a butterfly and fly around and talk, right? And that's really quite curious. It's a curious story. Sounds like Alice in Wonderland, kind of. Pretty, it's cute, it's imaginative. Well, let's see how many of these. Let's look in this big chart we made. Let's see how many times that happens, right? I personally have never heard of it happening before. I've never seen that in any of the NDE talk or anything. I've never seen anything like that. I may have seen that in a book. I mean, a fiction book, right? And it's a beautiful idea, really. A big blue, riding a big blue butterfly, who wouldn't want to? But anyway, the point I'm making is that you say, oh, well, riding a big blue butterfly, let's look that up. It never happened before. So out of 100,000 times 100,000, you get only one instance of riding. You search for riding a blue butterfly, and out of all that data, you only get one. There you go. That's a number, right? That's 1 over how many words there are. But say you look up a phrase like tunnel of light. Okay? You get tunnel of light. Well, you get a lot more than one. You get, out of all this data, now I'll go step back and I'll say, this data only represents like 10% of the people whose heart stops. So only 10% of the people whose heart stops have this near-death experience, okay? But these are numbers we're talking because this is data. So 90% of the time, nothing would happen, and I recommend you go read Marcus Aurelius and become a Stoic, okay? So 90% of the time, just be a Stoic. You're going to live, you're going to work, you're going to get old and die. Stoicism, Marcus Aurelius. But then that's not really what we're looking at, because you can't talk, or it doesn't make any sense to talk about Stoicism, because to be Stoic is to not talk much. Am I wrong? Am I right or wrong, right? So, yeah, odds are 9 times out of 10, you're going to close your eyes and that your existence is over. That's what the data tells us, okay? We're looking at data here. So, but that other 10% data, well, then they write these books and they publish these books. But some of them are fake and some of them are made up. And so you can't entirely trust everything you read, but you can still draw conclusions from the data, right? So, that's why we're entering the C phase. Whoopsie. Jimi Hendrix. I guess Jimmy says it's over. Okay, thanks. See ya. Bye.